know if you can hear me, but Ukraine just won the Eurovision Song Contest 2016. Woo! Thanks you, Europe, you have taste. Yay! I'll go into more detail about that in a moment, but for now, we're at the after party. Woo! Can you even see me? I don't know, but we're happy. Yay! Hi! It's really dark.
Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons. Today's the 15th of May, and, well, the party's over. Everyone's gone home, Europe's Galore 8's gone home, I've gone home. It's time for this year's grand final post-show review, but I haven't slept in quite a long time. I've spent a lot of time travelling, I'm going a little bit loopy in the head. I can't really think very well right now, so I'm going to keep this comparatively brief. I'm sorry, but I just cannot think straight. So I'll give my thoughts on the winner, and then go a bit more rapidly through the rest of the table, then give my thoughts on the semi-final placings, because those have been published as well, because transparency, yay. And then that'll be it for this year, because I am so Eurovisioned out for this year, because I went to Stockholm for the shows, and for the past 6 months I've been living, breathing, and drowning Eurovision, and I feel like after this video, if I hear the word Eurovision one more time, I might just explode from vomiting rainbows. I don't hate the contest, it's been my life for so long, and I just need to breathe for a while. Is that too much to ask? I'm being crazy from lack of sleep, aren't I? So, the winner for this year was Jamala's 1944 for Ukraine. First place, 522 points, which would be a new record, but it's a new voting system, so yeah, it's a new record. No shit, it's a new system. Well, that's not strictly true. It's kind of a new system. It's just the same system as the previous couple of years, but with the jury votes and the public votes presented separately, which means that the public and jury scores don't cancel each other out, which means there are some slight discrepancies between how many points each country receives versus how much they would have received under the old system. There are some minor changes. For instance, Australia would have won under the old system. Honestly, I'm happier with Ukraine winning in my own personal opinion. I'm not going to tell you to like it because I like it, because that would be a really bad thing to do. You have your own opinion, and that's fine. That's what makes it a contest. In my personal opinion, of the top 3, I think I'm happiest with Ukraine winning, for reasons I'll get into if I remember to, because my brain is kind of soup right now. So as a winner, well, a lot of people don't like that Ukraine won, most likely because it didn't come first with a jury vote, and it didn't come first with a televote, but it did do adequately well with both that it got the most points, so that's democracy, because if you were to say, oh no, this country should have won because it won the jury vote, then that would be throwing the public's opinions under the bus, and if you were to say, oh no, this one won the televote, that's throwing the professional juries and their professional opinions under the bus. So, this is the fairest result in my opinion, and very well earned, I think, because Jamala, excellent stage presence, excellent voice, excellent everything, and it's a song that's based on a true story that isn't delivered with any gimmicks. It's just her story, and her voice, even down to the lullaby for the lost child, and by lost I mean dead, where she's singing a lullaby for this baby that she's holding, and then realizes the baby's dead and screams skywards. I think there's a level of poignancy to the fact that she is alone on stage. She's not even holding a baby. That's how dead and gone this world she's singing about is. That's how serious the story is, that she's alone. She's telling this story by herself with no one to back her up, or so it seems. I don't know if she had backing singers, because the backing singers this year were really well hidden for everyone, so I don't know. But it was really well executed. It was really poignant. It was really brilliantly done. And I know some people are unhappy because they don't like the musical style, to which I say grow up. There are some people who don't like it because of the language, to which I say grow up. There are some people who don't like it because they think it's politically insensitive, and to that I say, I will defend it by saying that the EBU reference group allowed it to compete because it doesn't directly attack anyone. Yes, it's implied that she's singing about Joseph Stalin, because 1944 and Crimean Tatar and the whole idea of annexation and being kicked out and abused and in this sort of way. It is heavily implied, but because the lyrics don't explicitly state, this named party is the bad guy, it's not breaking any rules, and so it's a valid winner. So, I'm happy with it as a winner because musically, vocally, stagingly, because that's totally a word, everything about it, I think, earned all the points that it got. So, frankly, I'm happy with the result. You don't have to be happy with the result, but please be respectful to Jamala, because, like it or not, she's the winner of this year. And if you don't like her song, which, I mean, you're not required to like her song by any means, but if you don't like her song, don't be hateful towards her about it, because this is Eurovision. We're better than that. The whole idea is to rise above hate, to rise above borders and reasons to pigeonhole people and to hate people and all that. We should be able to move past that. We should go beyond this idea of hating. So, it's okay to not like the song. Just don't be vicious about it, because she won. That can't be changed at this point. And that's the most in-depth I'm going to get about these songs, because I really need to sleep. But I still need to edit this video. So, kind of rattling through the rest of the scoreboard simply because I don't have the brain capacity to have a lengthy discussion about each individual song. Second place, Australia, Dami Im, Sound of Silence, 513 points. Brilliant voice, clever staging. I like how it was handled. I suppose you could objectively call it gimmicky, but in very heavy air quotes, because she had the box and she had the screen in front of her where she was doing all these cyber touchscreen kind of things. It's technically a gimmick, but it doesn't sell the song short as a consequence. It's just, it's there to augment the song, and for that I have to give praise. She's got a great voice, great stage presence. She earned her second place, so I'm happy for her. Third place, Russia, Sergei Lazarev, You Are the Only One, 494 points. Highest scoring with the public, whereas Dami Im was the highest scoring with the jury. I don't really have much to say about Russia. I don't want to say I'm glad it didn't win, because I don't want to be mean-spirited. I can appreciate the budget that went into the song and the staging and how much effort it must have taken to produce everything about it. But to me, it did seem a little bit over the top. The UK commentators called it desperate. Having been given that bias to look at it through as a point of view, one can see how it can be interpreted that way. So, it did seem a bit over the top, and I wasn't really a huge fan of the song to begin with. I don't really see its huge appeal. To me, I hear this sort of bouncy, bright lights, you'll like the song because I said so kind of number, and if you like it, fair enough, it just didn't really speak to me. Fourth place, Bulgaria, Polygonova, If Love Was a Crime, 307 points. Well done, Polly. Bringing Bulgaria their highest ever placing in Eurovision ever on their second ever qualification. Oh, jolly well done. Really happy for her. Bringing all of the charisma and sass to her stage performance, just like I hoped she would. Thoroughly earned her fourth place. So happy for her. There's not much I could say without repeating myself, but yes. Go Team Bulgaria. Wait, they've already placed fourth. They don't need my support anymore, but well done in any case. Happy for her. Excellently done. I'm repeating myself. Fifth place, Sweden. Franz, If I Was Sorry, 264 points. Okay, it came fifth. Bravo. I don't have anything to say. It's another song that didn't really speak to me personally. I can appreciate its simplicity, and that was reflected in the staging, although I do grow bored of Sweden not changing their staging between Melodifestivalen and the contest proper. To me, I feel like one could infer a level of arrogance from that. Whether it's intended or not, one could say, oh, Sweden refused to change their choreography between Melodifestivalen and the final, therefore they must think that Melodifestivalen is perfection, and that seems a bit presumptuous, but that might not be how they're thinking. Maybe it's just my sleep-deprived brain reading too much into it. Good for him coming fifth against the odds of, having a simple song between two louder, more prominent songs. I mean, having said that, the song after this one didn't actually do that well when all was said and done, but, I mean, performing after Bulgaria, who finished fourth, tough act to follow, so good for him. In sixth place, France, Amir, J'ai Cherché, 259 points. Really happy for France because, as I've been saying throughout, new head of delegation, and it shows. They've put in renewed effort, they've put in renewed force, and everything. They've done everything right, and it paid off for them in spades with one of France's best placings in the modern contest, certainly for the past few years, and that's to be admired, especially off the back of last year's disappointing result, so well done, France. Seventh place, Armenia, Iveta Mukuchian, Love Wave, 249 points. I thought this would place higher, but it's still in the top 10, so no complaints. Brilliant live performance, brilliant live vocals, brilliant staging. Can't fault it. In eighth place, with 229 points, Poland, Michał Szpak, who kind of looks like me, and Color of Your Life. Sorry, Color of Your Life. I know, American spelling, blah blah blah. Now the big surprise with this one is The juries hated it, and the public had it 4th, so it ended up finishing 8th overall. It went from last-ish to shooting up the scoreboard into 8th place when they got points from the public, so props to you, Poland. I found the song, in my personal tastes, it fell into the bland and inoffensive category, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just not as engaging as some of the other songs in this year's contest. But he had a really great voice, and so I take no objection to him finishing in the top 10. In 9th place, 196 points, Lithuania, Donny Montel, I've been waiting for this night. Yeah, I had a feeling this one would do well. I think it got 12 points from the UK public. Doesn't surprise me all that much, really, but I mean, it's Eurovision by numbers, but done adequately well. No major complaints from me. It's not my favourite. I personally would have placed it lower in my top 26 finalists, but each to their own. He brought his own energy to it, and again, I'm not too salty that it's in the top 10, because it's a song designed to entertain, and entertain it did, so yeah, whatever. Now, 10th place, 181 points. Belgium, Laura Tesoro, What's the Pressure? Kind of, sort of didn't see this coming. Kind of. Because she was first up in the running order, which is never a good sign, but she still managed to get into the top 10, which surprises me, because the other 2 songs of this ilk didn't really do that well this year, because Finland didn't qualify, and Spain did disappointingly badly, certainly compared to expectations at any rate. I'm happy for her. I didn't think she'd be able to even compete with how Loic Notet did last year, but she got into the top 10. So clearly she's doing something right. It's refreshing to see this kind of shake-up with Belgium's results, because with a song like this, especially coming from Belgium, the average Euro fan might not expect to see it do as well as it did. So for the performance she gave, and the energy she brought, and her choreography and everything, yeah, top 10 placing, well earned. Now, my brain is starting to give up on me, so I'm gonna rattle through the bottom 16 much more quickly. 11th place, Netherlands. Inoffensive. Surprised it came so highly, but not entirely upset, because, I mean, it's not a bad song, it's just not to my personal tastes. Malta, 12th. Thought it would do better, but still a respectable placing for Malta, especially considering they didn't qualify last year. 13th, Austria. Well done, Austria, because some people thought that they wouldn't do well at all singing in French, and, well, Zoe went and proved them wrong. 14th place, Israel. Beautiful song, beautifully executed. Not really much I can say. It was a good song, well done, it just happened to finish 14th. I can't think of anything else to say because my brain is just falling asleep on me. 15th place, Latvia. Love the song. Love how he performed it live. Did do as well as I thought it would do, but still, top 15. Can't complain. Still a good placing. Still in the final, for one thing. 16th place, Italy. I feel like the fandom thought Italy would do better than they did, but according to my mother, her live vocals weren't as good as they are on a CD, so I don't know. To be fair, it is hard to judge vocal performances when you're either in the jury final off to one side hearing the vocals live, or in front of a giant screen in Eurovision the party with the volume turned up way too loud, so it's hard to judge vocals. So I can only assume that my mother is correct here. I can only assume that that's why Italy did this badly. Well, even then, it's not that bad of a placing. It's just not as high as the fandom, I think, might have been expecting. Speaking of vocals, 17th place, Azerbaijan. From what I could tell, it sounded like Samra had really improved over her semi-final performance and rehearsals, because her semi-final performance really kind of wasn't as impressive as perhaps it could have been, because her vocals seemed a little bit out of key, I suppose? I can't think of the right terms because I need sleep. But as far as I could tell, she patched up her vocals really well for the final, and I would say it paid off, but 17th, well, that's still respectable. I mean, that's the place that Molly achieved in 2014, so you could have done a lot worse. 18th place, Serbia. Surprised that this did so badly, actually. I mean, again, 18th place isn't bad, I just thought it would be higher. Maybe not top 10, but not far off it, but still a respectable score, a respectable placing for a very respectable song. I mean, this year, the final was full of brilliant songs, and so there was going to be disappointments, and, oh, this was underrated, that was underrated throughout the top, so I suppose when all's said and done, I'm not unhappy with the score, because I suppose it would make more sense to look at the score rather than the placing, and 115 points for this? yeah, I think that's fair. 19th place, Hungary, similar story, although it did feel like something was missing from the staging, perhaps. I don't know, the song didn't feel as impactful as it could have done, but that was partly because Hungary, as I keep saying, sort of disappeared off the radar after being chosen this year, and I'm not quite sure what caused that, but still qualified, still got over 100 points, so... 20th place, 104 points, Georgia. 12 points from the UK jury, which turned quite a few heads. You'd be surprised. Their performance, even without the fancy camera tricks, is actually still entertaining and impressive to watch. And I say this from experience, from having watched their jury final performance. They were still entertaining. They were still engaging. You would have thought it would just be them boringly performing on a really flashy stage and then relying on the camera tricks to get them points. And no, having seen them perform live without the camera tricks, they are still adequately impressive. So I can see why they only finished 20th, but I can still see why they were in the final, so props to them. In 21st place, Cyprus. This was Europe's Gallo 8's, well, one of her favourites. She was waving a Cypriot flag for both the jury final and the party. So I know how much this song meant to her, and it is kind of a shame that it only came 21st, but again, 96 points, it was in the final. No major complaints, because, as I said, the final's full of brilliant songs. They couldn't all be high-scoring winners, unfortunately. Following on from that thread, 22nd place, Spain. Similar story, but much, much more hyped up prior to the contest. I do feel sorry for Spain this year, because they were really, really, really hyped up. And then it just didn't deliver in the end. It was a great performance. I personally feel like Beret falling over on stage as part of her choreography, I feel like that may have been one of the factors that cost her song points, but I can't say that with any certainty. I'm not basing that on any factual evidence whatsoever. I just feel like that's where she lost points, because in the space of about half a second, you go from, oh my god, is she alright, to, oh, well, screw you, I'm sorry, I was worried about you. You played me for a fool by making you think you'd had an accident. So, that's my line of thinking as to why it may have lost some points, but it could just be that it was straight after Russia in the running order, and so, much like with Australia and Slovenia in the semi-finals, Russia could have just sponged away the points. In a similar vein to that, 23rd place, Croatia, performing before Russia in the running order, probably had a lot of points sponged away from it, because people were getting ready to hear Russia's song, which was really highly rated by the public. I'm so sad that Croatia came 23rd, but happy that they were at least in the final, because Lighthouse is a beautiful song, beautifully performed. I do hope she doesn't get the Barbara Dex Award, because Croatia and Bulgaria, I don't think their outfits deserve the Barbara Dex Award. They're a bit strange, but they're not bad. That said, I don't know who should get the Barbara Dex Award this year, but I'm sure we'll find out in due course. 24th place, the United Kingdom! What? We were doing so well with the juries, we got a 12, and then the second half of the juries didn't give us anything, and then we got 4 from Australia, thanks, 3 from Ireland, thanks, and 1 from Malta, thanks, and also thanks for the jury 12. And, oh, poor Joe and Jake. We were tipped to come, like, somewhere between 8th and 18th, and then we get 24th. I blame the running order personally, but that's just me being salty. I don't know, I feel like they deserve to do better, but, as I said, there isn't really a single objectively bad song in the final, so there were always going to be unlucky countries. There was never going to be a fully satisfying result. Continuing that theme, 25th place, the Czech Republic. Again, I think screwed over by the running order, because song number 2 never wins apart from in the first ever Junior Eurovision. And with a ballad like I Stand, performing that early in the running order was never going to do it any favours. But she performed her heart out. It's a beautiful song. It just didn't get as many points as it deserved. And I am heartbroken, come to think of it, that it got no points from the televotes. Why? It was beautiful. Then again, it was performed early in the running order, and because it was a ballad, people might have just switched off from it, so I suppose... I'm sure there's logic to be deduced from that somewhere. I'm too tired to fish out any rational train of thought, though. And coming last again, Germany. Where do I begin with this? I've heard that perhaps Jamie Lee's vocals weren't as good as they could have been. I've heard some people saying, oh, it was because of her dress not matching her staging. And I have said that throughout. I still think she rocked the outfit, and I still think she deserved better than last place. But no matter who came last, I would still say that, because it was a final of 26 brilliant songs. Although, I suppose it must sting a fair bit to come last behind a country that got nothing from the televote despite getting a combined total of 11 points from the jury and the public. But hopefully this doesn't discourage Germany, because Ghost is a really good song. But all of the songs in the final were really good, so nobody deserved to come last. It was just a matter of how the points were going to be dished out when all was said and done, and there was always going to be disappointments. I'm happy with the winner, so I can't complain about that. And I suppose I should give a brief word on the semi-final positions, because that's a thing that's been announced. Semi-final 1, Russia coming first, no surprises there. Armenia coming second, no surprises there. Malta third, again, not too surprised. Hungary fourth, kind of surprised. I have no further input apart from how surprised I was, I suppose. Netherlands fifth, now that kind of surprised me, but I'm not quite sure why, because it's a song with legitimate merit. Azerbaijan sixth, now that took me by surprise, simply because I thought her vocals would at least have her at around the 10th, 11th mark, and then general qualifying, so I thought maybe she came 9th or 10th because of her shaky vocals, but she came 6th apparently, so well done. Austria 7th, yeah, that sounds about right. Cyprus 8th, ditto. Czech Republic and Croatia 9th and 10th. That was a bit of a shock, because Czech Republic, beautiful ballad. Croatia, beautiful. I don't even know what genre to describe the Croatian song as, but it was really good, and I'm surprised they came 9th and 10th, and can I say surprised a bit more? And in the non-qualifiers, 11th, Bosnia and Herzegovina. If they had to not qualify, I feel like they were going to have come 11th, and I was right about that. But the real shock comes from 12th and 13th, San Marino and Montenegro respectively. What? This means that Serhat is actually San Marino's third highest placing entry ever. I don't know what to say. I apologize for joking about his song. Now, he didn't qualify, so I won't have to eat a shoe, but as a show of good faith to Serhat, I will meet you halfway, and at least eat the laces of a shoe, so I'll finish it later. So Montenegro 13th, well earned with their live performance, as I said. It sounds right at home on a live stage, and while I'm surprised they came as high as 13th, they definitely earned that 13th. A huge shock, though, that Iceland came 14th, underneath Montenegro and San Marino, the two most shat-upon entries of this year's contest. Iceland placed lower than that, despite being one of the fan favourites. Now that's a plot twist. And then Finland, Greece and Moldova, 15th, 16th and 17th. That doesn't surprise me too much. But Estonia, 18th? What? Wow, that was a weird way for my voice to go, but why Estonia last? What did he do so wrong? He was so charismatic. Then again, what I said about the final actually applies to all of this year's songs, actually. We had 43 brilliant songs, including Romania, so there was always going to be disappointments, and semi-final 1 was very strong anyway. But then again, so was semi-final. The whole contest was strong, and there was never going to be a perfect result, because they're all great songs. In semi-final 2, Australia first. Yeah, could kind of see that coming. Ukraine second. Could kind of see that coming, but I do like it when every now and then we have an eventual winner who didn't come first in their semi-final, because then it's a bit less predictable, except we don't know who came where in the semi-finals until after the show, so maybe never mind. But it's just nice to see that opinions can change, or that the influence of countries voting in the other semi-final can have that much of an impact on the results of a first semi-final when combined with the other qualifiers in the Big Five. And the point is, I like the aesthetic of Ukraine coming second and then first, rather than first and then first. And Belgium third, now that I wouldn't have predicted at all. Not because it's a bad song, but just I didn't think it would get as many points as that, 274. Then Lithuania fourth, again a bit of a surprise, I didn't think it would do that well. I thought it would be like 8th, 9th kind of fodder. Bulgaria 5th, very impressive considering that they'd go on to place 4th overall, beating Lithuania and Belgium from that semi-final alone. Poland 6th, I feel like most of those points came from the televotes, but I can't really be bothered looking that up because, like I said, I'm very tired right now. And I've been recording for over half an hour. I'm not sure how much of it will be cut out because some of it is just mindless, tired brain ramblings, but I mean, good for Poland. A deserved qualification, even if it's with a song that I don't necessarily like. Israel 7th and Latvia 8th. I suppose I could see that. I thought Latvia would be higher and Israel a little bit higher, but not as high as Latvia. Georgia 9th. Now, that surprises me, considering that Serbia came 10th. Like, how did Serbia come 10th and Georgia 9th? Because Serbia was considered the safest bet out of all the countries in both semi-finals to qualify, and yet they came 10th. And Georgia, one of the wildcards that no one thought would qualify, came 9th. Georgia placed higher than the safest qualifier of the bunch. I'm not quite sure how to process that. Then again, my brain isn't sure how to process anything right now. Now, another surprise came in the form of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia placing 11th in their semi-final. Definitely deserved, because Calliope had a brilliant voice. Donna was my 43rd favourite song of this year's contest. That doesn't mean I dislike it, it's just there were other songs that I like. I liked the other songs more, but I still gave her 7 points in my personal voting in the semi-final because she absolutely slayed it live. So there may have been 17 points separating FYR Macedonia from qualifying, but that's still really impressive. I didn't think this would be that close to qualifying, because I thought people would just leave it behind, ignore it, possibly even laugh at it, because it's so timeless, and so people might write it off as dated. Similarly, but in a completely different way, wow, that makes sense, Belarus 12th. After all the flack this song got, it still came 12th, partly because of Ivan's stunning vocals and impressive projections, I suppose. Norway 13th? Norway placed lower than Belarus and Macedonia. I, again, didn't see that coming, but I kind of understand it in hindsight. Then Slovenia 14th? Yeah, that's fair. I thought it'd be a bit lower. Ireland 15th, and Albania 16th again. I think those three countries, I feel like I would have expected them to come lower, but still more or less in that order. Maybe Ireland a bit higher, I don't know. And then Denmark 17th. Denmark, second last. Once again, Europe Scale 8 not going to be too happy with that result, because she really liked Lighthouse 10, and I liked their song as well. I didn't think they'd come second last, but I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles, apparently. And then Switzerland placing last in their semi-final for the second year in a row with a really good song for the second year in a row. I don't know what went wrong for Riker. She didn't deserve last, but then again, in a contest this strong, it's impossible to say who did deserve last. I don't think anyone did. But it's a contest, so someone has to come last, and that burden happened to fall on Switzerland for the second year in a row. Which is sad, but at least she got more than 4 points this time, because Switzerland last year got 4 points in the semi-final, and that was sad. So, my brain has kind of wandered off me completely, but that was this year's Eurovision as a whole. I am so tired, both physically and mentally, and also I just don't want to think about Eurovision for a while, because it's been on my mind constantly since December of last year, and I just want to take a break. So, I have been able to continue to be Tessellating Hexagons, and I'm just gonna lie down for like a minute. Okay, bye-bye.